In this video, I will show you how to use the LinkedIn Conversions API with server-side Google Tag Manager. The process is quite similar to the Facebook Conversions API, but there are also some differences. Let's take a look. When it comes to conversion tracking with LinkedIn Conversion API, you have mainly two options. The first option would look like this. You have a website, then you have installed website Google Tag Manager container. Inside that container, let's say you have Google Analytics tags. Those tags send data to your server, and then you send data to LinkedIn servers. Now, LinkedIn recommends using the second option, which means that you still have this entire flow, but also in the web container, you have their LinkedIn Insight tag that sends data directly to LinkedIn servers as well. In that case, it means that you would send the same event to LinkedIn twice, and then it would duplicate them. If you care about page speed performance and you don't want to install one more tracking code in the website Google Tag Manager container, then select the first option. Because in that case, your web container would still have just Google Analytics tag or, for example, Stapes data tag, while the heavy lifting would be done by the server container where you send data to multiple vendors, for example, to Google Analytics, to LinkedIn, maybe to Facebook, and so on. But to have a slightly better accuracy, you might want to implement the second option where you have the LinkedIn tag in the web container and you're also sending data with server-side Google Tag Manager container. Here I have a demo Google Tag Manager container, which is hosted on Stape. And here I have a basic Google Analytics setup, which is Google Tag. And then when the purchase happens, I send a purchase event. Now I will show you the first setup option. My Google Analytics tags are updated to send data to my server container. So here I have a parameter server container URL that sends data to this particular endpoint. This is just a variable that contains the host name. The same is done in the event tag, just in case. And then these tags will send data to my server-side Google Tag Manager container. Right now in it, I just have the GA4 tag and the GA4 client. If you want to learn more details about how I configured this basic setup, then I will post a link to another tutorial below the video. In that tutorial, I explain how to get started with server-side tagging and Google Analytics 4. To start tracking events and send them to LinkedIn Conversions API, in the server container, we have to add a LinkedIn template. So let's go to Templates. Then in the tag templates, click Search Gallery. And then in the search, enter LinkedIn, and you can select Stapes template right here. Then add to workspace and add. Before we proceed, let's check what kind of data is sent to our server-side container. We can do that by first enabling the preview mode of the server container. Then I will go to the website Google Tag Manager container, click Preview. Then here I will enter the URL where I want to test this and click Connect. Now I will click Purchase and this will create a test purchase for me. Then I go to the preview mode and here I will see that, for example, on initialization, my Google tag fired and on purchase, my purchase event fired. Then if I go to the server container, I will see the page view event and also the purchase event. On both of these events, my Google Analytics tag fired. So what we are going to do is that on this event, we will also create a LinkedIn tag that will send data to Conversions API. Also, did you know that 85% of you who watch my videos are not subscribed? If you want to stay up to date with Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics, and you want to get this kind of videos first, then subscribe to my channel. First, let's start with the page view because the LinkedIn Conversion API tag can send that. Later, we will handle the conversion. So let's go in the server container to tags, then new tag configuration, then select the Conversions API tag template. And here we can choose whether we want to send the conversion or page view. First, let's handle the page view. And here there are not many settings. For example, if you are using Google Consent mode on a website, then you can go to consent settings and tell LinkedIn that you want this to fire only if consent for marketing is given. But right now I will just keep it as it is. Then we have the triggering. So when do we want this tag to fire? So if we go to the preview mode of the server container, we see the incoming page view event. So technically we could create a trigger that will tell Google Tag Manager to fire LinkedIn tag only if event name is page view. Additionally, we can add some safeguard and tell Google Tag Manager that this event should be claimed by the Google Analytics 4 client. So let's go to the server container, triggering, and then click plus to create a new trigger. Then trigger configuration, and we can choose either custom or custom event. In this case, they will do the same thing. Then select some events, and here you should select the client name. If you don't see it, then you should go to the built-in variables section and select that variable there. So if client name equals GA4 and event name equals page view, then this trigger will activate our LinkedIn Conversions API tag. So we can name this, let's say, page view GA4 or something like that. Click Save. Then let's name this tag and click Save. Now it's time to configure the conversion tag for the purchase, because in the server container preview mode, we have the purchase. So we want to send that conversion to LinkedIn. So let's go to server container, then in tags, click new, tag configuration, LinkedIn Conversions API, and then conversion. Now we have to enter access token and conversion ID. You can get access token by going to LinkedIn Campaign Manager, then go to measurement and then insights. Here click manage sources and then select Google Tag Manager. Here you will be asked to generate a token. Click here and then you will get that token. Click to copy and then go to your server container, and you can either paste this token directly, or if you plan to have more conversions, then it would make sense to create a variable that stores the token. So this is exactly what I will do. Click the button here, then click plus to create a new variable, then click here and select constant. Then paste the value and call this constant LinkedIn token and click save. You can now go back to the LinkedIn Campaign Manager, click close, and then you can either create conversion here, or you can go back and then go to measurement, conversion tracking, and then create a conversion for the Conversions API right here. Then let's name this conversion, then select the category, then keep the dynamic value. The default value can be, let's say, €5, and then click next step. Then, counterintuitively, I will not select Google Tag Manager, because what will this do is that LinkedIn will ask you to connect to your Google Tag Manager container, and it will try to create a tag for you. But instead, I want to have more control. I want to use a different template. Therefore, I will choose the direct API. Then click Next, and then click Create. The conversion is created. However, if you click it, you won't see the conversion ID anywhere in the display right here, but it is available in the URL. So copy this part right here that goes after conversions. So copy this, then go to your server container and enter the rule ID. If you have implemented Google Analytics for e-commerce tracking and your data layer looks like this, 1 second, I will just initiate it. So if your data layer looks like this and you send this information with Google Analytics tag to your server container, then Stape's LinkedIn tag template will automatically fetch the currency and the order total. So you don't need to override the currency or amount right here. For now, when it comes to the tag configuration, this is enough. Then let's go to triggering, and we want this tag to fire when the purchase event happens, and that purchase event is visible in the server containers preview mode. So let's create a new trigger where the client name equals GA4 and event name equals purchase. Let's name this trigger and click save. Finally, let's name this tag and click save. Let's test if this is working. So first of all, what you need to know is that when you will be refreshing the preview mode in your web container, the URL should contain the LinkedIn @click ID. Otherwise, you might get an error when the tag fires in the server container. What do I mean by that is that you should close the web preview mode, then the website itself, and then start a new preview mode in the server container. And then you should add an add click parameter. So leave at ID, and then enter anything. Click connect. What will happen here is that we will get a page view, and on that page view, the LinkedIn tag will fire and it will create a cookie. That cookie will be later needed for the LinkedIn Conversions API tag, and I mean the purchase tag. Maybe I should reload the server container preview mode and then we will start again. So I will reload the page, then I go to the preview mode of the server container, then I make a purchase. And here I will go to the server container. So I have a page view, the page view tag fired. And if I check the incoming request, so I am on page view, request, then click incoming HTTP request. And this request was sent when the page URL on the website contained the LinkedIn click ID. So here I see the set cookie and it created this cookie right here, which means that our LinkedIn page view tag created the cookie that will be used for the attribution. Now, if I go to the website and make a purchase, here I get that purchase. I see that my purchase tag fired, and then I can go to console and I will see that the response from LinkedIn was 201, which means that it is okay, and the data was sent properly to LinkedIn. And this was the data that we were sending, which also automatically fetched the currency code and the total amount. This came from the Google Analytics request. Alternatively, if you want to send some additional user data, for example, user email with the purchase, you can also do that. First of all, you would need to include that user data in the Google Analytics tag in your web container. So if I go to the purchase data layer push on my website, I see the user email. So I could send this to my server. I can do that by going to website Google Tag Manager, click variables, and then I will create a new variable of which type is user provided data. Then here in the email, I will create a new variable, which will take that email address from the data layer, and its key will be just user_email. In your case, if the email address is stored somewhere else in the data layer, then of course you will need to adapt. So the variable type is data layer variable, and I will enter user email and paste it right here, and then save this variable. Then I will name this user provided data. And I will then go to tags, and in the purchase tag, I will add an additional event parameter, which is called user data, and its value will be the user provided data variable. So this variable is pretty much specifically designed for this parameter. So it's important that you include user data and don't name it anything else. Then click save. Now let's see what that information looks like in the server container. So first I will refresh the preview mode of the web container. Then I will make a purchase. Then the purchase will occur right here. And since I am using the user data parameter in GA4 tag, the user provided data variable then stapes LinkedIn Conversions API tag. It automatically picks that email and sends it to LinkedIn. So when conversion happens and if the add click cookie is not available, then LinkedIn might use this hashed user email. Or alternatively, if you store email address somewhere else in the data layer, for example, then you could send this information right here. User IDs override, then add property, keep this parameter, and then insert a variable that contains the email. Don't hash it right here because this tag template will hash the email. So the value here should be pretty much a plain text email address. But in my case, I don't need that. So let's click save. And this was the first option. We just have Google Analytics in the web container, and then in the server container, we pick that data with the LinkedIn Conversions API tags and then send it further to LinkedIn. By the way, did you know that I have a bunch of free ebooks on Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics? So if you want to better learn these topics, then click the link below the video, download those ebooks, and get started. So what we have done so far is the first option, where we use Google Analytics tag and then send data from our server container directly to LinkedIn servers. Now let's take a look at the second option, where we also have the LinkedIn Insight tag in our web container. To do that, in the web container, go to Tags, click New, Tag Configuration. Then we will click here to go to the template gallery, and then look for LinkedIn and select LinkedIn Insight Tag 2.0. Then add to workspace and add. Then we have the partner ID. You can get that by going to LinkedIn Campaign Manager, then Measurement, Insights, Manage Data Sources, and then click on Insight Tag. Here you should choose how do you want to install the tag. So choose the Tag Manager option, then Proceed. And here you will get the partner ID. So copy, then in the web container, go back and paste it. The first tag that we are going to create is the equivalent to the page view tag. Therefore, we don't need to enter any other fields. And then in the triggering, let's click anywhere and then select initialization all pages. Let's call this LinkedIn page view and click save. The next tag is for the purchase. So click new, tag configuration, then LinkedIn Insight tag. Then we can again paste that partner ID like this. And then we have to enter the conversion ID. If you choose the second option, which means that you will have both server-side setup and also client-side setup, also known as the browser-side setup, then you will need to have two separate conversions created in LinkedIn. We have already created a conversion for the server-side setup. Now we are going to create a purchase conversion for the LinkedIn Insight tag. So let's go to the Campaigns Manager, then go to Measurement, Conversion Tracking, then Create Conversion, Insight Tag Conversion, and then let's call this Purchase Browser. Then select the category. We can keep all other settings as they are, maybe accept the default value for the purchase, and then click Next. Then select Tag Manager, switch to event specific, and this is the conversion ID that we have to use. So copy that, then go to the web container and paste it right here. Then we have to enter the event ID. What's important here is that with each website LinkedIn event, we have to send an event ID, and that event ID must be identical to the event ID that we will send from our server. Later, we will configure the event ID in the server, but now let's include it right here. For that, we can use a custom template. So click the button right here, then click plus to create a new variable configuration, then click here to go to the community template gallery, and then look for event ID. And we can use, for example, this template created by Stape. Then add to workspace, add, and then we can again click on the variable configuration. And it looks like there's a bug in Google Tag Manager because I don't see that new variable template. So let's close this and close this, and then I will save the tag for now without any other configuration, and then I will refresh the page. So now I will refresh the page and we'll do that again. So let's go to the purchase tag, then in the event ID field, create new variable, click plus, variable configuration, unique event ID, and then just name it, let's say event ID, and click save. Then in the triggering, we will fire this tag when the purchase event occurs. So we will need to use a custom event trigger. So click on triggering, and I already have that trigger from some time ago, but here is the process how you should create it. So click plus, trigger configuration, then custom event, enter purchase, and then give this trigger a name and click save. It will be automatically added to the tag, but I won't do that because I already have that trigger right here. So this looks okay, then click save. Then I need to add the same event ID variable to the GA4 purchase event because this feeds our server-side setup, while this is part of the client-side setup. So I will click this event tag, and then I will add a new parameter, which is called, for example, event ID, and I will insert that variable right here. and then click Save. What is important is that in this case, both of these tags fire on the same trigger. This is a necessary condition for the event ID to match between both events. Now let's test if this is working. So click Preview in the web container. Then I will go to the website, make a purchase. So the purchase tag fired right here. Then in the server container, I have that purchase right here. And if I click that event, go to event data, I will see that there is a parameter called event ID right here. This is available here because we sent the event ID together with the GA4 event. So now we can include this in the server-side LinkedIn tag. To do that, we will need to create an event data variable for this particular key. So let's go to the server container, then go to LinkedIn purchase tag. Then edit the tag, go to event data override, then event ID, and here we will need to insert a variable that will read this value right here. So I will click this button, click plus to create a new variable, and that variable's type will be event data. And I will enter event ID because that's the same name that is right here. So I can name this, let's say, event ID. And click Save. Then click Save again. And now we have completed the setup. The final step is to check whether everything is working correctly. So I will first refresh the preview mode of my server container. So click Preview right here. Then I will go to the web container, click Preview there. And when my page reloads, I will open Developer Tools. So click 3 dots, More Tools, Developer Tools, and then go to the Network tab. I will minimize this badge, and now I will make a purchase. If you have any filters right here, you should remove them. And then let's check what is happening. In the search field right here, enter the word LinkedIn so that we could see only those requests which are related to LinkedIn. And here look for the collect request. I will click this one. And here in the request URL, one of the parameters is event ID. And this is the value. Let's memorize the last 4 digits, which is 8174. Now let's go to the server-side Google Tag Manager container preview mode, then click Purchase here. Then we can click on the LinkedIn tag and we can see the outgoing request. Click it. And here we should be looking for the event ID that contains the same value. And indeed it does. So the event that was sent directly to LinkedIn contains this ID. And the same ID is sent from our server, which means that LinkedIn will understand that both of these conversions are actually the same conversion. And then LinkedIn will deduplicate that. So now I can go back to the LinkedIn Campaign Manager, click Next Step, then create that website conversion, and immediately it will be unverified. But if you do several more tests where you also have the LinkedIn ad click ID somewhere in the URL, then it will become active. Because in my previous tests where I was working with the server-side conversion, I had that parameter in the URL, therefore eventually this conversion was marked as active. So how does the deduplication work in this case? If you send both conversions, and I mean server-side conversion and the client-side conversion, and if their IDs are the same, then LinkedIn will discard the server-side conversion and it will be using only the client-side conversion in that case. And also it will reduce the conversion count for the server-side conversion. So if your setup is correct, over time you will see that the count of browser-side conversions will be higher than the server-side conversions. When you make sure that everything works fine, then don't forget to publish your changes in the server container and also in your website container. And that is how you can configure LinkedIn Conversions API with Google Tag Manager. If you found this video useful, then hit the like button. That will help me understand what videos do you like and what should I create in the future. Also, if you want to learn more about Google Tag Manager or GA4, then subscribe to this channel. My name is Julius, this is Analytics Mania, and I'll see you in the next video.